Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Query, just suppose this is the day 1, and once I will start my module, I would request all of you, if you have some queries related to any topic, so first of all you need to wait for finishing my topic. Okay, I will finish my topic first, and then I will come to your queries. I will give you time to raise your queries, and I will resolve your all questions and all queries. So let me finish first of all, just because in between it will break the flow, correct? So let me start with module number 3, which is for Azure Administration. Now in this module we have labs. We have lessons. Let me maximize this. So here we have 3 lessons. The first lesson, which is for Resource Manager, in which we will discuss about Resource Manager terminology. Then second lesson, which is for Azure Administration tool, where we will discuss about the different tools which we have to manage Azure resources, and then what is ARM template and how you will do the orchestration through ARM template. And I will show you labs also. And you guys don't need to worry about lab part, just because, as I told you, we already have step-by-step labs for all these modules, which is designed by Microsoft, correct, which you all will get, and through those labs you would be able to perform your lab activity. Yes, Gaurav, you can use your free tier account first, and then you can redeem your Azure Pass after your free tier account. So let me start. So I need to check which policies I'm going to group. First of all, I will plan, then I will group all those policies into policy definition, and then I will scope this, or I will assign this policy to my scope level. Scope the initiative definition. You need to scope your initiative definition. That means you need to apply this to one scope, which could be your management group, or it could be your subscription, or it could be your resource group. Depends on your requirement where you have to scope your policy. So assign the definition to a scope. The scope enforce the policies. Select the subscription and optionally the resource group. It's optional, so you can select resource group as well, where you can apply policies. Determine compliance. After applying policy will start, it will evaluate. So applying policy will take up to 15 minutes. So you will get one result here, where you will see the compliance status. So if your resource would be non-compliant, you will get the result and the status of resources, list of resources which would be non-compliant, and then you can remediate those resources. So non-compliant initiative, non-compliant policies, non-compliant resources, through the evaluation. Now we have demonstration of assigning a policy, create and assign initiative definition, check for compliance, check for remediation task, remove your policy and initiative. So let me do one demonstration, so you would be able to understand how you are going to apply policy, and you all can do this demonstration along with me. So I will go slowly, so you all can perform this lab along with me, so that you will understand policy in better way. So first of all, let's do one thing. Let's go to resource group. Let me search resource groups. So create one resource group where we will apply these policies. So I'm going to create one resource group, which would be like RG policy. If you will see here, the tags option, correct? So let me assign one tag to this resource group, which would be like a project, and let me select Cognixia. This will be the tag which I'm going to assign here. You need to provide, if you're assigning tag first time, so you need to provide tag name and tag value. Review and create this resource group. This would be done here, which you can see. RG policy. Now from duplicate tab, search policy. So we need to search policy from duplicate tab. So here you will get the overview where you will get the resources by their state, compliant resources, non-compliant resources, correct? So, and the policies which is assigned to your resources. So I have few policies here which is already applied. Let me delete all these policies. So let me delete these assignment first. And these are the default policies which is applied by Azure. For compliance requirement, let me do one thing now. Let me go. If I need to apply a new policy to my resources, there is an authoring tab which you can see at left hand side. On authoring tab, you will get definitions tab. So click on definitions. Here you will get your initiative definition and policy definition. There are two options: initiative definition and policy definition. And these are the policies which is built-in policies, which you can see here. Correct. Now what I can do, I can use these filters, and based on the filter I will get the output, and I will select one policy for my requirement. Like, let me select my policy with all types, and category would be virtual machine. So let me select here, or let me search here, compute, sorry. Let me select policy which is related to compute. So select your category, you will get the output related to compute resource. So these are the policies which is built-in policy here, which you can see, which is created for compute resources. If you need to search one policy with the name, so select all, and you can search your policy from here. Like I'm going to search one policy which will be tag. Let me check policy here. So requires a tag and its values on resources, upon a tag and its values to resources, or inherit a tag from subscription if missing, append a tag and its value on resource group, add a tag to resources. So there are multiple policies so which you can use. So let me give you few examples to which you all would be able to understand how policy works. So require a tag on resources. This would be a policy here. Require a tag and its value on resource group. Require a tag on resource group. So you will get the policy based on the keyword which you have typed in the search bar. Let me create one policy from here. Require a tag and its values. Let me select this policy. So we need to select this policy. Require a tag and its values. You would be able to see your policy statement, JSON statement here. And you need to check your effect. So let me scroll down. So effect is deny. Correct. So it means if my user is not going to provide tag and its value on the resources, the deployment will be failed. This policy will deny the deployment. So we are going to test this policy. So there are two ways to assign this policy. One, you can use the same policy, that means you can use the built-in policy which you can apply. If you have knowledge of JSON where you need reference script which you can customize as per your requirement, so what you can do, you can duplicate this definition. That means you can clone this policy and you can create your custom policy which will be known as custom. So custom policy is not in our syllabus. Let me show you. So duplicate this definition. So it will be redirected to new policy definition where I'm going to create this policy as a custom policy. So I don't have knowledge of JSON also. So in that case, I can use this way. I need to select, either I can select my management group or I can select my subscription where I need to scope this policy. So I can scope this policy to my management group and then I can select which subscription. so which is optional. So if I will select HR management group, inside HR if I have 5 subscriptions, so this policy will be applies to all 5 subscriptions. If I will select subscription, one subscription under this HR group, then this will be applies to that subscription only. That is called scope level. So by creating management group, you will get this visibility here, and you would be able to apply your policy, assign your policy on correct scope level. So let me select here. I'm not going to select any group here. I'm going to select my subscription. Let me select my subscription. Let's check if I am able to. Yeah. So this would be my subscription here. Requires a tag and its value. Scroll down. This would be my scope level basically. So where I'm creating this policy, my name. So as I'm going to create a custom policy, so let me give some name to this policy. So let me change the name of this policy. Require a tag, demo, and this would be the description of this policy as well. Scroll down. Here we need to select category. This policy resides in which category? In tags, or you can create your custom category as well. Like if I'm creating custom policies for my organization or for my department, for my subscription, I can create one new category. Like if I'm creating policies for MSDN subscription, I will create one category which would be like MSDN, and then this policy will be associated to MSDN category. Scroll down, this would be my policy statement. If I have knowledge of JSON, I can change this statement. So let me check if I can audit. So let me change the effect to audit. Scroll down, click on save. So we have created one custom policy. If you need to check your policy, custom policy which you have created, then you need to go back to definition tab, and you need to select your policy type from the filter to custom. So you would be able to see your custom policy which is created by you. Correct. And if you need to assign this policy, select this policy. There's option assign. Click on assign. Select your scope level. So where you can apply this policy to subscription or one resource group inside your subscription. So let me select here RG policy resource group. Abhijit, you raise your hand. If you have any query, unmute yourself. I'm not able to hear you. You're not audible. So please unmute yourself and then speak. So I'm going to lower your hand. If you do not have any query, I'm going to lower your hand. So let's continue with IP address now. So we have discussed IPv4. What is IPv4? And structure of IPv4 where we have 4 octets. So we have classification of IPv4. A, B, C, D, and E. So class A, where we have one range. Range is 0 to 127, correct? And 0 and 127, both networks are reserved. So you would be able to use 1 to 126. So that is the usable range here, which you can use, and you can assign IP addresses from this range to your computer. Then we have class B, where we have address from 128 to 191. And in class C we have 192 to 223. In class D we have 224 to 239, and in class E we have 240 to 255. So that is the range of classes in IPv4. So a normal user can use class A, B, and C addresses. class D, which is reserved for multicasting. Class E, which is reserved for R&D, research and development. So D and E class addresses we cannot use. So we can only use class A, B and C addresses in our environment. So let me give you one basic in-depth explanation for class A. So if we are talking about class A, so we have range which is 1 to 126 usable range. And if we are going to expand our bits, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dot 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have total 4 octets: first octet, second octet, third octet, and fourth octet. So in each class you will get 4 octets because that is the structure of class IPv4. Sorry. Now in class A we have range which is 0 to 127, but 0 and 127 both networks are reserved, so it means usable range is 1 to 126. So in class A, first bit that is reserved here, reserved by INA. When I'm saying reserved, that means this would be reserved by INA. So we have only 7 bits which we can use in network. Now when it comes to structure of class A, so first octet that is known as network portion and rest known as host portion. So when I'm saying network and host, so how you will explain what is network and what is host? If you have to explain what is network and what is host, how you will explain so that everyone can understand? So you can raise your hand if you know what is network and what is host, or you can type your answer into chat box. Just because to understand IP address, you need to understand what is network and what is host. Then you would be able to identify your addresses easily. So let me know what is network address and what is host address. So it's basic. I hope you all knows what it is. So host address is endpoint and network, that's subnet. Okay. Host address give to machine. Okay. Network address is to isolate or identify from one network to another network. Okay. So let me finish first of all this structure. Then I will explain you what is host address and what is network address, and you all will be able to understand what it is in layman term. So now let's understand first of all class A. In class A, we have first portion which represents network. So first octet which represents your network portion, and rest which represent your host addresses. So in network portion, we have one bit which is reserved. Okay. So if I will expand, just because they all have predefined values, all these bits have predefined values, and in each octet you have 8 bits which have predefined value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. These are the values of these bits, which is predefined. So when I'm talking about bit, it means I'm talking about binary. So if I'm talking about binary, we have 2 values in binary, 1 and 0. Correct. So what would be the meaning of 1 and 0 here? So bits which will be 1 here, we need to add values of those bits. So if my all bit will be on, so I need to add these values. So 128 plus 64, service endpoint. How it works. Load balancer, Azure load balancer, which is the next lesson here. So here we are going to discuss about what is load balancer, how it works, and then the last lesson would be application gateway, which we will do in next session. So Azure load balancer, Now basically when I'm creating more than one web server for one web application, correct, which would be like www.xyz.com. So if I have identical servers, more than one server inside my account for my web application, which I am using here for HA purpose, for high availability purpose. So if my users, they are sending requests, so how my request will be distributed to these servers? What would be the method here to distribute all internet requests to my backend resources? So in that case, we will use load balancer here, which will distribute your request to all backend resources based on the rule which you will configure. Correct. So if I have identical servers, these would be known as backend resources, and there would be one front-end resource which would be your load balancer. And on your load balancer, we have two types of load balancer into Azure. One is public is internet-facing load balancer, and second is internal load balancer. Internal is private load balancer, which will work within the VNet based environment. So if I am going to deploy web application more than one server, so I will use public load balancer, internet facing load balancer, and you will get one public IP address on this load balancer. So you will get, and it's a standard legacy load balancer. As compared to on-premises, this would be a standard legacy load balancer which works on layer 4. So when I'm saying it works on layer 4, what it does mean by layer 4 here? So we have different types of load balancer, where we have load balancer based on layer 7, based on layer 3, layer 4. So when I'm saying Azure load balancer, it works on layer 4, what it does mean by layer 4 here? Anyone who have some understanding on this, if you have managed any load balancer inside your organization? Only IP based, okay. F5 not easy to use, many rules like okay, only IP based. F5 correct. So basically when I'm saying L4 load balancer, it means it will use TCP and UDP protocol to listen your request. So request, user will send request to your load balancer public IP address, correct, and your load balancer will listen this request. So which port and protocol your load balancer will allow? You will create one rule here, load balancing rule, in which you will specify that my load balancer will use TCP protocol, and by using TCP it will use port 80. It will allow only port 80 request traffic, correct. So users who are sending request on port 80 on TCP protocol, so that will be entertained by my load balancer, except then port 80. If my load balancer, if my users are sending any request to my web application, that will be discarded by my load balancer. So layer 4 means it will entertain TCP and UDP based request. I hope that is clear. What is the meaning of here load L4? Correct. And when I'm saying L4, it means SSL doesn't support it here. It doesn't support SSL. So distribute your inbound traffic to backend resources using load balancing rule. As I told you, you will create one rule, and based on your rule, it will distribute your traffic. And now these resources, which is connected as a backend to your load balancer, how your load balancer will understand that your all resources are healthy. So you need to create one health prop in which you will specify that my load balancer will send one periodic request to all the virtual machines after every 5 seconds. So my load balancer will send a request to my load balancer by using TCP or HTTP protocol to check my resource health. So if my resource will become unhealthy, if my load balancer will get a consecutive 2 failures for any resource, so this will become unhealthy and my load balancer will not send any request to this unhealthy resource. So that you will configure into your health prop. You will specify that thing into your health prop. So your load balancer will test health of your all virtual machines which is connected to your load balancer, and then your load balancer will understand which VM is healthy or which is not healthy. Quickly it will start. Public IP connectivity and DNS name you will get on your virtual machine. Isolation feature you will get here. Customized size you will get. That means you can customize your size based on your requirement, where you can specify how much virtual CPU you need, how much RAM you need for your instance, so that you can run multiple containers here. Persistent storage would be there. Linux and Windows container you can run on there. You can co-schedule your groups here, and virtual network deployment would be there, where you can create 2-tier application, so web tier and DB tier. Containers groups, so you can create groups, as I told you, where I can create web application or DB application. So I can open my DB web application to port 80, and I will open my DB to my web application on port 1443, and my web application will be accessed through DNS or IP address. So similar to your 2-tier application which you will design inside your VNet, same you can design inside your container instances. Docker, which we have already discussed. So what I can do, either I can use Azure container instances or I can use Docker. So if I'm using Docker, I need to create one virtual machine. So I will install Docker host on my virtual machine, and then I will create my containers, and I will use these images where I can use like nginx, Tomcat, Ruby. Those applications I can run inside one container, which I can use or which I can deploy through my Docker client. There's a Docker client which will be connected to your Docker host, which would be a Docker daemon, and you would be able to create containers through these images. So these images are stored on a Docker Hub repository, or you can store inside Azure repository, Azure container registry, or you can store into GitHub also. So Docker Hub is the default option here, just because we are discussing about Docker. So you can store into Docker also. So you will store your images inside Docker, which you can pull from the Docker Hub, and you can run one container to these images on Docker. This would be the deployment of your container service. So let me show you how you will do this, how you will deploy one container on Azure. So we need to search container instance from portal. Search container instance, and you will get one option here, create. So click on create. And then select your resource group, container name, which I'm going to use here like cont1, then your region in which you're going to deploy your container. Then you need to select your image source. Where is your image? So you can select a Docker Hub or other like GitHub. Okay, you can select your image is public or private, that you can specify. You can specify your image URL also. Or you can use Azure Container Registry, which is a private registry. So it is recommended by Azure if you are going to store images and if you're going to deploy your application on Azure platform. So store your images into Azure Container Registry so that you can authenticate your users.